Hello, this is Erica DELSIGNORE, and I'm the founder of Daily Lead Campaign, where we find leads for our clients using social media and video marketing. And this is my interview series called Great Minds, Great Marketing. And today I have an incredible person on the show. And I know I say this a lot, but possibly my most famous person. This is Mr. Mitch Russo. He has built companies with none other than Chet Holmes and Tony Robbins. He's made millions of dollars for himself and his clients, and that's what he specializes in now for speakers, authors, anyone that has a trainers, anyone that has a message to get out there. He can actually teach you how to take your business and turn it into a seven-figure business quite easily with all of the different ways that he has built his own business, and he's going to share some of those with us today. So, Mitch, I want to thank you so much for being on the show today. It's such an honor.
My pleasure. Delighted to be with you.
So, I would love to hear a little bit about how you got to where you are today, because you've worked for some interesting companies, you've helped build some interesting companies with some interesting people. And how did all of that come about?
Well, I think entrepreneurial spirit is responsible for pushing me and motivating me in many ways. And I do feel a lot of passion about helping people, and that's really where it comes from. But when I started, I can't say that I identified those as my motivating factors. I actually started my entrepreneurial life as a little boy, and I ended up building a rock band, a professional rock band, as a high schooler, and we turned out we were one of the highest paid high school rock bands around, and we had a lot of fun doing it. We also found that it was an unusually wonderful way to meet girls. So so we didn't know any better, and we were all quite awkward socially, so that was a great icebreaker, and it was a lot of fun. But the core lessons of business came from all of the elements I usually would use today, came from building, starting, growing, and promoting that band.
Well, what did you play? Or were you the singer?
I was the lead guitar player and the leader of the band.
Wow.
So
you did get all the girls. Excellent.
Well, I did my best, and had a lot of fun doing it. Like I said, the thing about it, though, is if you think about a rock band as a business, I mean, it really does require many of the same things all of us require in our business. It understands understanding your customer, understands delivering a quality product. I mean, those are the things that you got to get. You also have to understand promotion and how to leverage your existing clients. So we walked around with a clipboard, and we get a written testimonial after every Sweet 16 party that we played. We would do things like literally sit down with notebook paper torn out of my notebook and write a press release and go to the Mimeo machine and make copies of it and then send it out to the local newspapers, and we would get press. We didn't know that that's later what people called press agents would do or anything like that.
Wow, that's incredibly insightful for high schoolers, that's for sure.
Yeah, and we had fun. Later, after we got older and the band broke up, and we all went our separate ways, and I moved to Boston. I came into the Boston area with the intention of working in the computer business, which I did. But I also started building a real estate portfolio, and later I ended up growing that real estate portfolio and then selling it to start my software company. And that software company, for me, was the foundation of my true entrepreneurial expression. Back then, I ended up building a company of 100 people, and of course, it was very successful. It was acquired by Sage PLC, and it was acquired for 8 figures. So we had a lot of fun doing it. We learned a lot of lessons. We employed a lot of people. We kept a lot of families happy, and we created some fantastic products that helped a lot of our clients.
Wow, that's fantastic. And then after you had the software company, you moved on, or do you still have that?
No, I sold the software company, and that's where I met Chet Holmes. Chet and I became friends after he was pestering me over and over to buy advertising until finally I gave in. And when I did, it turned out to be an incredible investment for the company. And that became one of our most powerful sales drivers was the ads that Chet sold us. So Chet and I became very close friends, and that was going back to 1980. 89, 88, 89, and we stayed friends ever since. And even after I sold the company and I worked for Sage for a few years, I brought him into Sage to do sales training, which everybody loved. And then later, when I was, I'm sorry?
I said, who wouldn't? He's fantastic.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
it was fantastic to have him as a friend and to have him help train our sales staff. And then later, as he was starting a new company with Jay Abraham, he asked if I would be his first client, and I said yes. So I got a chance to become friendly and get to know Jay Abraham as well. And Jay and
Wow.
Chet and I built some fantastic marketing programs together, and again, it was just a great time of life.
Yeah, that's incredible. So then you merged it with Tony Robbins?
Well, later, Chet and I, as I said, we stayed friends, and we would talk just about every week. And Chet was telling me about a problem he was having at the company, and he asked if I would help him, and I said I would. And I rolled up my sleeves, and he wanted help with hiring, so I basically hired his sales force for him, and we ended up tripling his sales force relatively quickly. And I learned his techniques for hiring. And being a software guy, I systematized a lot of his techniques, and I built a recruiting division for Chet. And later, we became in conversations. We entered into conversations with Tony Robbins to join the three of us together into one company, and that happened relatively quickly. It took about 6 months to talking with Tony almost every Thursday night for a long time to iron out the contract. And then when we ironed out the contract, we had a big event, and it was 500 people, and that was the Ultimate Business Mastery Summit. And at that summit, we recorded and Tony, and we turned that into, and by the way, 15 other guests, and we turned that into a product which we then sold over the course of the next 5 years, generating about $25 million a year.
Wow, that's incredible. It's an amazing story. I mean, I know that that's what a lot of your clients are striving to do. I mean, we all have products, and we put them out there, and we hope to have an event to sell a whole bunch of them. That's amazing that you were able to get $25 million a year from just nothing. That's incredible.
Yep, it was not nothing, but it was a lot of hard work, as you can imagine.
Of course.
But as a result, we built a 300-person virtual company. And having done that, by the time I was finishing up with Chet's company, after Chet had passed away, at the encouragement of Jay Abraham, I wrote a book. And that book became The Invisible Organization, which is basically a blueprint on how to do a lot of what I did behind the scenes for Tony and Chet.
The Invisible Organization.
Yes. Yep.
If any of our viewers would like to get that book, where is it?
It's on Amazon. Where else? Yeah, they can
go to.
It's on Amazon. Yeah, okay. And if you do buy the book on Amazon, you should go over to invisibleorganization.com and register your book and get access to the free resource center, which is sort of like a continuation of the book. So I've updated a lot of the technology recommendations. I've posted articles. I've posted some videos about how to do some of the things I talk about in the book, and it's probably a good place to visit if you're going to buy the book, for sure.
Wow, that's really awesome. I mean, how many books actually come with an additional website that has more information and updates than you originally bought? That's great.
Yeah, yeah, it's a
Fantastic. So for everyone out there, the
yeah,
Invisible Organization, everybody, go get it and register your book at the website, and you will be a part of the community.
absolutely, absolutely.
That's incredible. So you're working. This is a fantastic business because you're working with people that are working with people that want to get their information out, and so you're kind of the top of the food chain. You've seen everything with marketing. And one of the questions I like to ask are, what is the marketing combination that works best? And I know it depends on, what business you're in, but you're working with mostly coaches. Is that right?
I'm working with thought leaders and thought leaders who have the potential to become, and I know this is a very overused word, and I don't mean it the way it's been bandied about, but I really am working on building gurus. I'm working on building industry experts from a position of authority by following the path that I've laid out for them. So I work with a select few people who really have the potential to change the world. And that's my contribution, how I change the world.
Wow, that's amazing. So what are some of the tactics that you would suggest for somebody just getting started, or even somebody that is trudging along but needs a little extra help?
One of the most powerful things that you could ever do is to build a list. And I think that goes without saying. Probably everyone listening has heard that a million times. But maybe the most effective way I've ever seen to build a list is to create something of value, give it away free, and introduce it through a live video on Facebook. And then once that video is live, you can begin to promote that video so that it leads to a funnel where people can leave an email address and get something from you of value. And that can be something that you have tested and proven to be wanted and valuable to your target audience. So if it's something like a guide, how to meditate, how to, grow tomatoes or something, I mean, whatever that may be, just have experience understanding that it's something people want. Not just that you know how to grow tomatoes, but that you know they want that because of its uniqueness to the particular market you're in. And then at that point, it's a matter of simply learning how to couple what you're doing along with the self-liquidating offer to pay for your ads as your ad spend builds. And that's a tactic, I realize. But a strategy here, and more importantly, is to become an authority. And becoming an authority means that other people seek you out for what you do and who you are and what you know how to do. And becoming an authority also means that you've been acknowledged by the world at large, by your audience certainly, as the go-to person in that area. So I work with folks today who we are building their authority platform. We are building their power right now, as well as making them money along the way. So I, for example, take clients from, typically I don't take beginners. I don't ever work with beginners. And it's not that I don't like beginners. It's just that they can't afford what I would pay, what they'd have to pay to get me to work with them. But more importantly, they generally have other things in their life. So a beginner is probably still working at a full-time job, whereas somebody who's already generating, low six figures understands now that they are on a path, and they just need someone to really take them and really boost them up and really get them to the next level. And that's where someone like me comes in.
Ah, I see. So that's fine. I mean, I'm not going to hold it against you that you don't work with beginners. There's different niches out there, and
Yes.
making the people that are at a certain level better is, a great place to be. So, I mean, I've been in a couple of masterminds. I started at the lowest one. I'm in the middle one. I'm working on getting up to a Dan Kennedy type mastermind next, but you just have to. Everyone goes on the path. Everyone starts somewhere. So I think it's fantastic.
Yep. Thank you. And a lot of my clients do work with beginners, which is great because what they're doing is they're helping, that's why I said before, I feel like an amplifier. What I'm doing is I'm changing the world by helping others who are changing the world become better, smarter, have a broader audience, more reach, and more authority as well.
That's fantastic. So you're helping them. They've got their list. They're building their list. They've got a great lead magnet, something that everybody wants. They're probably testing a few different lead magnets and having webinars and the rest of it. Are there any other tactics that you might share with us today that helps get them to the next level?
There's one other tactic. It's sort of an advanced tactic, but I want to talk about it today because I think some people are ready for this. And if you do it the right way, it can really change the way the world looks at you. And I want to explain it to you. It's called the hero's journey. And maybe you've heard about this before, but the hero's journey is a writing paradigm. It's the course of a story. If you look at Star Wars, or if you look at The Matrix, or you look at any of the big famous blockbuster movies, even Harry Potter, it follows the same basic storyline, which is called the hero's journey. And the whole idea behind the hero's journey is that it's actually an emotional roller coaster. And I say it's an emotional roller coaster because
sounds like life.
Yeah, just like life, exactly. Once you get started, you're in for the rest of the ride, and that's the point of it. It's to hook you and get you to pay attention, and more importantly, get you to identify with the hero in the story, who doesn't emerge as the hero until later down the road. So what I'm doing now is I'm working with my clients to craft a hero's journey story, which they will use as a way of resonating with their target client base. And then once they're resonating with their target client base through the hero story, they're then introducing them to the tools that they offer now that can help them and accelerate their lives in whatever way they are.
That is a really interesting way to put it. I love the hero's journey. Now, I heard once, I've heard a few times now, when you're telling your story, you shouldn't be afraid to get personal and, even tell things that you would normally be embarrassed to admit. So, maybe you used to be an alcoholic or have a gambling problem or whatever, and you've overcome this and you're moving up in the world. But those types of stories, for me, it was growing up in a low-income housing project. I was always completely embarrassed about that. But it wasn't my fault or anything. But that kind of thing really helps certain people in the audience relate to you and feel more comfortable taking the next steps and working with you.
Absolutely. And in my life, I totally agree with that. And in my life, I've had my share of hardships. I come from what people now call a broken family, and I found myself addicted to heroin as a young man. So I've been through the mill like many of us have, and I married an alcoholic wife, and went through the trauma of seeing her fail time after time trying to get clean. So none of us get out clean in this world. We have to develop our character through our battles with these forces as they come up in our lives. Where our character is defined by how we respond to both despair and conflict. Some of us collapse, others stand strong and move forward through them and build the life that they're proud of.
Wow, that's such an inspiration. I believe that as well. It's those people that can kind of fight their way through. It makes them stronger in the end and able to accomplish more in a way.
So true, so true. And I think for a person who's done that, there's that feeling of real accomplishment that they might not get through other means. And I guess, for example, if you are a parent, have you ever heard the term helicopter mom?
Yes,
Okay.
I have.
Okay.
I am not a helicopter mom, by the way.
That's
No.
good.
I'm maybe halfway. She's
Okay.
still 4, so
Oh, good, good. So my daughter
she
went to
needs a little hovering.
well, hovering is fine, but I mean, I've heard stories of helicopter moms and dads that would basically make you cringe. I mean, these are parents that just cannot let go control of their child, and as a result, they grow up with a child who has no ability to make their own decisions or deal with conflict because mom or dad stepped in all the time to deal with their conflict for them. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's not good.
Exactly.
Yeah, yep.
So it's important when you build your hero's journey to develop the elements that you had to work through that prove that you've built the character. And from character comes the experience and the wisdom that you get when you lead others. So at the end of the day, even all of the people who sell crap on the internet and all the people who have all these self-liquidating offers, at the end of the day, it comes down to wisdom and leadership as to knowing exactly how to help others get to where they want to be in their lives. And that, I think, is a big part of what I help others do through my experience.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's great. I mean, if you don't let kids have their own mistakes, then they're not going to have any character, like you said, and they're not going to be able to make decisions when they get older. So I think that's phenomenal. So this hero's journey is really about the people that were allowed to fall down and make mistakes, have made themselves great again, and in the end, this is going to help your clients sell more. Is that
No,
the whole structure?
it's not exactly sell more. It's going to help. It's going to help my clients bond with their most affiliated members. So, for example, if I am in a field and I tell my hero's journey story, then in that field, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to bond with the people who are following me. I'm trying to create an emotional connection where most of us in life have very few emotional connections, particularly under electronic media. I mean, we don't have a lot of emotional connections on Facebook, but yet with a hero's journey approach, you get to build that emotional connection where you build empathy over the course of your entire story. And then that empathy becomes a two-way street. So eventually, first your client has empathy for you because now they've gotten to know the fact that you're a real human being and have had horrible problems in your life. And then eventually, as you get to know your clients, you have enormous empathy for them and want to help them. So it's really benefiting both sides equally in a very powerful way.
Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. It's absolutely true. People aren't going to follow you unless they can relate to you. So that's
right.
wonderful that you can use that story to help lead your company into success.
Exactly.
That's fantastic. Now, I know that we were going to be talking about a couple of new things that you have coming out. Now, we know about your book. You've got a new podcast called Your First 1,000 Clients, and there's a website called yourfirst1000clients.com.
Yes.
Would you mind telling us a little bit about that? And I know that you had a special gift for the audience, too, if they're able to go over there and opt in.
Sure. So, I've been around a while, and I've had the pleasure and the privilege of getting to know some amazing people in my life. People, you might call it a specialized relationship because of the access that I've had. And I always wondered, how can I take that access, those people, and help the entrepreneurs that are still struggling, that are trying to build a business and trying to get free of that full-time job and move up into the world of being an entrepreneur and a business owner. So I decided to create the podcast to give back, to serve entrepreneurs. And as a result, I've been able to get some pretty amazing people to come on my show and talk about their own journey and what they've learned. And yeah, we cover some tactics from time to time, but the goal of having my guests on my show is to help communicate the wisdom that comes from their years of experience. And I got to tell you, I learned something from every guest that I bring on the show, and I love how giving that they are. So in many cases, we've had people who came on my show and in 45 minutes laid out entire blueprints for how to do things that I don't know how to do. And it was a wonderful sharing experience that now is available for free for anybody to just listen in and follow. So
Mm-hmm.
I encourage you, if you're listening to this show, to go on over to yourfirst1000clients.com. And the other thing I did is I asked every guest to give me their most valuable business idea, tip, call it a trick or a technique. And what I've done is compiled what I call my 37 tips, tricks, and techniques sheet, which it's no longer a sheet, it's almost an ebook at this point. And I give that away free just for coming to the website and taking a look and signing up to receive podcast notices. So it's my favorite thing that I've ever given away because anybody can consume it in 5 minutes. Everybody will find at least one, possibly more things that immediately make them go, wow, oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I could do that. Cool. And that's why I like it so much.
Wow. I love that. I love that. It's a boiled down, bunch of tips that you can really like make some money off of right away. I think that's fantastic, or at least make your life easier as a business owner, depending on what the tip is. Yeah, if it's a technology or a technique, yeah, that's incredible. I can't wait to check that out. Now, how long have you had your podcast?
Oh, I got to tell you the story of my podcast. So I
want to hear it.
I wanted to build a podcast for several years, and because I knew I had these relationships that I could use to bring to people. So I had this idea that I would do it in such a way that it would be kind of a show about wisdom, because I really am a fan of the wisdom of others. And so I headed down that path, and I felt like the show didn't have a purpose other than to talk to people. So I decided to build a business model around the show. And in doing so, it became very clear to me what the show needed to be and who the show needed to serve. So that's what I did. I built my podcast, yourfirst1000clients.com, to serve entrepreneurs, which are the perfect audience for the people that I'm bringing onto the show. And later, as the show progresses, I'm going to arrange specialized access to my guests for my listeners. And that is going to be what I do to take the podcast and have that turn into something a little bit bigger to help more people on a little bit broader level.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, I love it. I love a podcast that you can really learn from and grow your business. And I know my husband and I, we both listen to podcasts all the time, so I'm definitely going to tell him about this new one and make sure that he listens to them on fast forward too, so he gets more information faster.
Sure. Absolutely.
It's like Alvin and the Chipmunks down there sometimes.
Yeah.
But that's fantastic. Okay, so everyone, go to Your First 1,000 Clients, and that's the word 1,000,
that's
not
right.
the number, .com. So yourfirst1000clients.com, where you're going to get those compiled tips and tools guide, and you're going to really be able to listen to some fantastic information. I mean, if you haven't heard of Mitch, you've certainly heard of Tony Robbins and Chet Holmes, but and they're all on a plane of greatness. Lots of knowledge. People pay lots and lots of money to get the information that he's giving away for free on his podcast. Am I right about that?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Fantastic. So it's well worthwhile, and listening to somebody that has so much business experience and marketing experience can only help. And so that's why I wanted to have you on my show today. Is there anything that we didn't cover that you wanted to bring up today? I know it looks like we've covered most of the topics that you've talked about so far.
No, I think the only thing I want to leave as a final message is that we're defined by our relationships. And the relationships that we build in this life are the legacy we leave, and it is the enrichment of life itself. So do not hesitate. If you're an introvert, I understand. I'm an introvert sometimes too, but my goal is to build powerful relationships that enrich me and enrich the people I'm in these relationships with. And I urge you to do the same. Find a coach, find a mentor, find people that are at the different level than you are and learn from them.
Yeah, because I don't think that you should ever be the smartest person in the room if you can help it. That way you're always learning from someone, right?
Exactly.
I don't know if I want to be the dumbest person, but definitely be somewhere in the middle. So there's always someone to learn from and always somebody to teach. So
Exactly.
I think it's incredible for you to take the time to come out today. I'm so happy to have a neighbor. I didn't even realize you were in the Boston area, so that's fantastic.
Yeah.
And I hope you're enjoying the weather we're having. I know. We can't seem to we got one extreme or another here lately with our weather.
So true.
Yeah. So that's New England. But I want to thank you, and I want to thank everyone for listening today to the Great Minds, Great Marketing interview series, where we bring great minds in marketing to you to give you new tips. Now, tune in next Tuesday. We'll have some more guests on the show, and I am looking forward to getting this article out as a blog all over social media within the next few weeks. So keep an eye out for that. If you didn't get to catch this, fully on Facebook, you'll be able to see the article come out in just a few weeks. And I want to thank everybody again for listening in, and I look forward to talking to you all next week. And thanks again, Mitch. It's been a real pleasure having you on the show.
My pleasure. Thank you.